Folks, what's up? We're back with another taped edition of Press Play, whatever we want to call this segment. Leroy, what do we call these segments? Press
Press
Plays?
play.
Sure,
Yeah,
Press
that's
Plays.
press play. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Leroy. I'm Michael. This is the We Trying channel, or Nerdy by Nature Productions. We've been busy, all that. We've been busy the past few weeks. We did a really amazing stint at Soda City Comic Con, got to interview a bunch of childhood favorites and childhood icons
Mhm.
that literally brought us to tears. You guys will see that later.
You won't see
What
the
you want?
tears, but you'll
You
see
won't
the
see the
energy.
tears, but some of the people we spoke to brought us to tears. It was good stuff. That's
You
all
already know
coming soon.
punk.
Great,
Also,
fantastic.
we also got to talk to people who are not childhood fan. Roger Clark. So we got to interview him. We also I just posted our interview we did with Ginger Kid Collectibles, Jason and Chance Dalton. I want to shout out them because I first met them at Heroes Con. Or I met Jason at Heroes Cons, and so seeing him again at Soda City, and he was like, that was his first time coming to the show. He's definitely going to put it on the rotation,
Where
and he
is he
was really cool.
from? Do we know?
I want to say Atlanta.
'Cause in our desire to be journalists and interviewers, I don't even know if we asked him where he was from.
We did, but not in the actual interview.
Got it.
So we talked, and then but I believe he's based in uh Atlanta. Check him out, Ginger Kid Collectibles. I want to also say part of the reason why we talked to him is I did buy this, and it's a Cosmic Legions. I've started getting into Cosmic Legions and cut back on some of the other things that I bought. So it was in talking to him, and
Oh, do we want to show off all the stuff we bought at Comic Con?
no, I just happen to have
Oh,
that
okay.
because I just posted this. By the time this goes up, I would have posted it early, like the week after we came back. And I've been trying to get more of the interviews and stuff up, some of it because I'm learning a new editing software. And so I wanted to highlight that because one of the things that was cool was he talked about was loving what you love and not and basically spreading that love within the nerd community. And so that was really one of the cool things and one of the reasons why I want to talk to him. And that's kind of what this topic is about a little bit. uh Gamescom and
Yeah.
video
Oh,
in general. And so like I don't want to crap on Gamescom, but what did you think of it?
so before we get into that, I hate and love this man now because I have a new obsession. I feel like I need to collect the NECA Universal Monsters
I told
TMNT
you.
collection now.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen him in person until I saw him at his booth. I was like, oh, great.
Mhm.
Now I want these freaking figures. There's
Yeah.
9 of them. So maybe
There's
I'll
not.
start
I didn't
collecting.
know there was 9. I thought there was
Yeah,
only 6.
because some of the turtles are like multiple creatures. Like Leonardo is both the creature from the Black Lagoon
I didn't know
and
that.
the Hunchback, and I think Raphael is Frankenstein's monster and Wolfman.
See, I thought there was only 6 with April and Casey Jones being 2
Yeah.
people because isn't April Bride of Frankenstein?
Yep.
Yeah. So okay,
Casey Jones is Phantom of the Opera. Splinter
okay,
is Van Helsing. Yeah, I kind of want them all now. They look really
okay.
good. But that was it. Yeah, what did I think of Gamescom? I'm kind of glad that we waited to do this, and it kind of
Hmm.
goes to our whole idea of sometimes take a beat, figure out what your ideas are going to be, what you want to say, and then say something. Don't just rush to say it. Because when I
Hmm.
first saw it, I was like, "Eh, it's fine," and I still think it's fine. But I enjoy it more now, looking back at it, than when we were first going to do this a week or 2 weeks ago. Because when I first talked to you, I was like, "Man," and we'll get into it. I didn't really care about any of these games. That was a bit hyperbolic because one of the games that was announced, or at least given a date and more details, was Civilization 7, which I've talked about before. I love the Civ games. So it's not like I didn't like any games there. I kind of forgot about that one. I did enjoy that. And then now as I look back, there were 2 other games that I were
Hmm.
like, okay, it was interesting. But for the most part, it was definitely kind of like nothing here blew me away. Even the 3 games that I liked overall, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But I'm not like, oh, this is I got to get this day one. I really got to play this. Maybe with the exception of Civ 7, and that's just me talking. I probably will wait a month or 2 until it goes on sale on Steam before I buy it. But
Hmm.
I was definitely more interested in. I mean, we're doing spoilers, right? So I mean, it's not like I have to save it.
No, you go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, the announcement of the 15 different vignettes from Blur
Secret level.
Studios, Secret Level. That
Yeah.
is the biggest. That was the thing that got me most excited, more so than the games.
Yeah. So when we talked about this, I have I the games that are coming out or the games that they announce. So I did get excited for a few things. One, I did. I am coming around, even though I tried not to. I'm coming around to Dune Awakening. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm coming around to that.
You
There's
do
a couple of
MMOs?
not really, but so I love the Dune world and I love
Hmm.
this idea of playing in the Dune sandbox. So
Hmm.
I'm interested in it. I may never buy it because I know, and I want to get into this a little bit more. Dad gaming, like breaking down. You have these massive open world games or these massive games that take 100 hours, and it's like, hey, bro, I ain't got that kind of time. So that's why I said I may just watch somebody play this game, like just have it on in the background while I take care of my two small, tiny humans.
Hmm.
But that game did interest me only because I want to see what they do with the lore of Doom. So I was interested in that. Not saying that I was like I got to buy this. Um, I thought I am not a big Indiana Jones fan as far as the game because I feel like Uncharted did it better. It's almost like remember when did you ever watch South Park?
Hmm.
Remember the bit that they always did? Simpsons did it. Simpsons did it. That I feel like that whenever I see the Indiana Jones game. I'm like
Okay.
Uncharted did this. Like I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's like if you're going to do it, how are you going to separate yourself from the best Indiana Jones game ever with Nathan Drake? So
Sure.
um so like the games that got me was now I will say Dying Light Beast because I do like the Dying Light universe. I was very excited about that. Now a game that I don't care to play, but I thought had the best trailer of all time. Do you know what it was?
Oh, Goat Simulator.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good. Yeah, that was a really
Goat
good simulator. Yeah.
I gotta give whoever the geniuses behind Goat Simulator were, give them their flowers. Because that was like I don't play Goat Simulator and I knew what it was,
Hmm.
but that trailer was amazing. Like if stop right now, stop what you're doing, pause us, go watch Goat Simulator, come back. That trailer was amazing. Um, I don't want to like rag on this because I think what Gamescom did, which was different than a lot of, even though Jeff Keighley was there, and maybe Jeff Keighley does it, and the setting is different. It seemed to be a lot more different variety of games for everybody.
Hmm.
It seemed to be more of like here's it was not leaning heavily on the first person shooters as far as like there were a couple of them. Of course, you Call of Duty was there. What was the other one? The punk game. It was just on the tip of my tongue. I just watched it. Frag Punk or something like that. Um, I There was a lot of cool stuff, but nothing that really jumped out to me outside of Secret Level. And I think
Hmm.
partially because I am interested in gaming and I love gaming, but there's so many things in my back catalog that something has to like set itself like Alan Wake 2. Like it has to be something totally different to grab my attention. And nothing really set itself up outside of Secret Level. And then two, Secret Level is done by the same team behind Love, Death, and Robots. And I am a big proponent of that franchise on
Right.
Netflix.
Right.
I would, if they ever release that in a steelbook, those those features, I'm the sucker who's going to buy it. I think Love, Death, and Robots is one of the best things to come out science fiction, animation wise, outside of Black Mirror and Across the Spider Verse. Uh, so to see them take on the franchises that they took on,
Hmm.
I was blown away. Like that trailer, the way it was cut was amazing. So that's my initial reaction to Gamescom.
Yeah, and I think it goes to an overall feeling of, is there a games are in a tough position. It's not, and this is, I don't think this is a hot take, but I think games are in a tough position because they take longer and longer to make.
Yes.
And we as gamers and the populace overall demand that they continue to be more and more incredible. And we seem to be we have less patience for games that don't hit the mark right away.
Question.
Mhm.
Do we? Or is that a loud minority? And the reason why I ask that is because there are a lot of games that are different, that have stood out, that have eked out a space. I bring up Alan Wake 2, the Control games, the Control from Remedy. I bring up, it was just on the tip of my tongue, and I could see it right now, from Housemark, uh, roguelike
Oh,
game.
the
Um,
yeah, I can't think of the name now.
I see it. I see the woman. I see the trailer. Um,
Re something.
uh,
That's what the internet's for. Let's see.
yeah, but the sad part is I can see the game and I cannot tell you what it is. Um,
Returnal.
yes, thank you. So
Yeah.
I feel like there's quite a few games that do eke out Hi-Fi Rush that are not these huge explosive games or blockbuster AAA games that do eke out or cut into, and they do
Right, but all
okay.
those games, yeah. My point wasn't that all those games that you named, I think were all technically competent. Like when they
Hmm.
when they came out, none of them were like, "Oh, this sucks." I feel like a lot of times, and there are exceptions, like a lot of times if games are not automatically incredible, like in terms of everything works at the beginning, so a lot of times they won't find their footing and they kind of fail. Now
Yeah,
you have exceptions like what's the one that people hated and now people love it with all the expansions? No Man's Sky.
yeah. I so here's the thing, and this goes into, I wonder, is Gamescom the right? I'm gonna workshop something out loud, because we talked about this before.
Do you hear a noise?
Yes, that is the
Okay.
fan of my
Okay.
computer.
Cool. All right.
Uh,
Cool.
that is one con. The fan sometimes will kick on, and it's a little
So
loud.
okay.
Um, so yeah, that's a
Hey,
knock on this
if you want to get
computer.
a silent fan for Leroy, give us some money and
Yeah.
help us so we can
Um,
get better equipment.
and keep in mind, this is the new laptop I bought.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. That's on
All
me.
right. No, it's all
But
good.
no. I'm going to workshop something real quick, and it's
Hmm.
in relation to the recent news that just came out. As you go up, this will be 2 or 3 days after this, like 4 days after this has been announced. PlayStation is shutting down Concord, the um, the game that just
Less than
came
two
out.
weeks since it came out. Oh, or was officially open to the public.
They are shutting it down, and they're issuing refunds, and they're trying to decide what to do with the game. And a lot of people say, a lot of the reviews that I've seen said it's not a bad game, it's a middling game. The problem is that the buy-in was $40, and that it should have been free to play. And then what it should have done was sold microtransactions or something of that nature. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I do see that point, but also it goes back to your point of saying, if you don't hit it out of the park immediately, you run the risk of the game narrative being hijacked by a very loud minority that gets online and trashes whatever it is. And I do believe Concord fell into that because I have seen whether, and I haven't watched all of them because I don't watch a lot of those channels, but there did seem to be a consensus of who is this game for? Why did you make this game? But I also think it's timing too because this game came out after Redfall's disastrous launch, after Justice League kills the Suicide Squad, or Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. I think those two things like Concord's fall cannot be just in a vacuum. I think there are other mitigating circumstances that led to Concord not being well received versus something like a um, Helldivers 2, which a lot of people said the same things. Who was this for when it came out during that state of play? And people were like, oh, this is good.
Mhm.
Same thing with Power World when it came out. People were like, oh, it's Pokemon with guns. And it turned out to be like the player base has dropped off some, but it was a very successful game when it came out. Um, I do wonder as Gamescom and developers being very picky with how they advertise their games going out, considering all the layoff news and how games are received by the public. Because I thought it was interesting, Concord did not have a huge push at Gamescom. I thought it was very interesting. We did not see
The biggest push it got was being part of Secret Level.
Secret Level, yeah,
It's one of the 15.
and here's the funniest thing. Here's another thing that came out during Gamescom that I thought was interesting on the other side of it. Because keep in mind, Borderlands 4 was announced at Gamescom,
Mhm.
and it was right after Borderlands the movie came out, which was a huge bomb to the
Mhm.
point where you can now get it streaming. You can now rent the movie.
Oh, you can rent it now?
Yeah, you can rent it at home. Uh,
Nice.
so I do wonder, are game companies slowly, and are we seeing that right now at Gamescom, slowly readjusting how they announce some of these games and how they present these games to the public?
I think they are. I think it goes back and it's part of the why Concord failed thing. IGN has a good article. I'm sure a bunch of people have articles about it, about the unfortunate state of Concord. But it came out that Concord had been in development for 8 years,
Yep.
which is crazy. Apparently, it the way it lines up because it came out this year, it probably started in development after Overwatch came out.
Hmm.
So after they were trying to catch the trend, I mean, it's just something's got to give in terms of. I don't know that we're going to get shorter development cycles because people keep wanting to make more and more of incredible looking and realistic games. So unless there's some pipeline that makes games easier to make, that helps that. I don't know, but
Here's the thing. I I have seen this online, and I don't know if this is true. It seems to be that people believe that games are easier to make now. It's just that the amount of money that goes into making these blockbuster games is so enormous. And I'm not a game developer, so I don't know what it is. I do know during the PS3 days, that was a notoriously difficult console to design to develop for.
mhm.
Um, I do wonder, is it a sense of going back to what you said? One, it's a moving target because you talked about that and you brought it up. This game was probably announced right after Overwatch, or this game was started development right after Overwatch. So
Mhm.
Overwatch is big, and somebody's like, "We need that." Well, you needed that when Overwatch came out. Eight
Yeah,
years later, Overwatch is not where Overwatch was.
right.
So right now, I would say, right now, what would you say is the biggest game out right now? Fortnite, right?
You mean of that type of game?
Of that live service genre, it
Yeah,
would be
probably
Fortnite.
Fortnite still. Yeah.
So you do have some other games that are like that exist. Your Valorant, your PUBGs, your Apex Legends, but Fortnite is the big one right now.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what the solution is, but I do see that executives are trying to hit a moving target by commissioning these games with developers and publishers. And it seems to be that's going to be a hard thing considering you can't predict the future and you don't know what's going to hit.
Hmm.
But it also seems to be that you've already commissioned some of these games and you should have seen that live service is not the answer, which is very interesting considering they released this and stopped Last of Us Online. And I'm not the
Yeah.
first person to say
So
that.
Yeah, so it's like, man, Last of Us Online must have been even a worse shape.
Or was it in worse shape and they were like, oh, we're about to damage the brand? Because again, Concord's not a known brand.
Hmm.
You don't have a television, you don't have an Emmy award winning, Peabody winning, BAFTA, whatever award you want to attribute to. You don't have Pedro Pascal in a Concord series that's
Hmm.
going to like The Last of Us is a brand. It is something that is synonymous with excellence from PlayStation. It is the reason why people have bought PlayStations. It is a game that has spawned imitators. It is a game that has crushed other games. Keep in mind, Days Gone is not a bad game. Days Gone, part of the reason why we're never going to get a sequel is because Ben Studios, when they released it, it wasn't where it is now. And Last of Us 2 was coming down the pipeline. So I think Concord does not benefit from having Neil Druckmann and all the trappings that a Last of Us has. And I also wonder, is this PlayStation's Redfall? Because we have we have
That's
for we
tough.
have kind of forgotten a little bit about Redfall and the mess that Xbox got into, because right now we've moved on to other rakes that Xbox has stepped on.
I don't know if people have forgot. I don't know if people have forgot so much that they're just letting them step on all the rakes.
That's what I'm saying. Like Xbox, like we've I don't I do believe we've moved on from Redfall, because right now the big controversy is Indiana Jones is coming to PlayStation, and what other of your first party titles is going to end up on PlayStation, and why should we buy an Xbox?
Right.
That's the new biggest thing that Xbox and Microsoft is dealing with.
Yeah.
So this is Sony's biggest misstep. Most This is Sony's most recent misstep, I should say.
Sure. And I think it's interesting because it goes back to the idea again. The big consensus is that Redfall was bad.
Yes,
Concord is not considered bad. It just wasn't what people wanted. Like the
yes,
game itself seems to be a competent, well done game. It's just not what people wanted. Whereas
yes.
Redfall just seemed to be effed from the beginning, and they tried to slowly fix it. Um, I think, and I'm not the first person to say this, but it does seem like more and more Xbox is going the way of third party in terms of like completely third party, where they're putting everything everywhere. Um, I will say I do feel like I get some credit because I brought this up to you years ago about Xbox does not care where you play their games as long as you're playing their games.
You are correct. Yep.
Um, so if I think people, I think there is a tribalism mentality for people where they're like, oh, I bought the Xbox so I can only play Xbox, or I bought the PlayStation so I can only play PlayStation. And
I was one of those people.
yeah, Xbox is looking further down the line and be like, hey, this business is changing, so we need to offer games everywhere. If you want to play on PlayStation, that's fine. If you don't even want to have a system, now you can play with the Fire Stick and a controller, which is
Hmm.
crazy.
Yep.
Um,
Because
I think,
so I have a Fire Stick in the bedroom, and it did ask me, did I want to put did I want to set up my Xbox my Game Pass account on the Fire
mhm,
Stick?
yeah, I think that might be the way to go. I think the problem with Xbox is I generally think that Bill Spencer does want to do whatever he can for gamers. I feel like he has bosses he has to answer to, so he can't control everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have ideas, but I think the big theme around Xbox is the reason why they keep stepping on rakes is because they don't know how to communicate their message as best they can. And I think their message changes. A couple months ago, I do think Bill Spencer was like, oh, this is the criteria for what's going to be only on Xbox and it'll come to other things later. And I think that bar probably changed. I think at the time he thought, oh, you know what? Indiana Jones, yeah, it's not going to meet the criteria for coming to other systems. But now stuff's changing. We got to make money. So if you want to get on PlayStation, fine. But if you have Game Pass, you get it with Game Pass.
Here's the thing. I do think two things. I think you're right, and I think you were right about Indiana Jones. I think Indiana Jones was one of the original games that was going to come to PlayStation when that whole kerfuffle came out, when it was leaked that this was one of them, and they were like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I think the initial response caused them to delay that announcement. I think that leak when it came out, I think if the perception was better, I do believe this announcement would have came earlier. I do believe him being Phil Spencer being at Gamescom and him having to get out there and be the messenger for this, because I think Phil Spencer is their best communicator. I do believe they have other people who are corporate people and they do not know how to speak to the gaming community. I reference this. It's not the first time. It's not the last time. I will keep referencing this. And you know exactly where I'm going. Sarah Bond got up there at that conference and literally bombed. Like the first time a stand-up comedian goes in front of a crowd and they eat that comedian alive with hecklers and stuff like that. She could not answer simple questions after Xbox decided to shutter those studios. That she didn't have subscriber numbers. It was just a bad interview. And I say that to say you got to be better considering you went into court saying we are the number three video game company. We are not Nintendo. We're not Sony. So we need you to approve this sale to us so that we can compete.
Hmm.
And now maybe that's part of the strategy of having your CEO go up there and look bad in an interview of
I
softball
don't think
questions
so.
that you like. I don't know, man. This world is crazy. So I've been watching the news, and I can't believe we as humans have made it this far. Some days, like I'm starting to watch Terminator Zero, and I'm like, that's ambitious to think that we as humans are going to make it that far. It's like I see the world around me, and I'm like, ooh, how have we not eliminated ourselves before now? Um, so I don't know what their strategy is. I just know it's bad. So I do agree with you about the communication. The thing that I'm wondering is how we have Gamescom going forward. How are these game conferences? Because basically these are huge advertising conferences. These are huge advertising events because every single one of these trailers is a commercial for you to buy whatever product that they're selling. It's Ubisoft getting up there and talking about you need Star Wars Outlaws. Here's why. Here's the information. It's Machine Games getting up there and saying, "Hey, we have this new thing coming out under the Xbox umbrella. This is why you need." And I do wonder going forward, we're seeing a more reserved Gamescom because there were big games, but there were no huge announcements like you see at the Video Game Awards or Summer Games Fest or like you used to see at E3. Like Borderlands 4 was the biggest, to me, game announcement coming down the pipe. And I think that was muted based on the movie just being absolutely terrible at the box office. Um, because here's the thing, there were a bunch of games that people do care about. You had um, outside of Indiana Jones, you had World of Warcraft, you had Batman Shadow, Arkham Shadow, you had the Cuphead game Mouse PI, or sorry, it reminds me of Cuphead. You had a new Sonic game. Avowed was shown off. Diablo was up there.
There was a
You
Sonic game.
Sonic, play a Shadow and Sonic and Shadow Generations. Um,
Oh, a trailer for okay.
yeah, so you had that Monster Hunter Wild. Um, we saw at um, Soda City. We saw a couple of people cosplaying as Monster Hunter, as one of the Monster Hunter characters. Um, you also had, which I think we can talk about that later. Starship Troopers was up there, but I think that game kind of like lost its.
Yeah, they got ate up by
Like,
Helldivers.
yeah, like, dude, y'all should have dropped that way longer. So I do think there were big games that were announced. I don't want to sit up here and say that there were no games announced and the whole conference was trash. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that there were a wide variety of games that hit different genres of gamers. But I also think it seems to be that everybody's kind of holding their cards closer to their chest and maybe announcing their stuff at their own or
Sure.
picking and choosing when they're announcing the stuff. We do know that there's another state of play coming down the pipeline because, and again, I don't know why, we've heard that there's this open secret that Sony is going to release a PlayStation Pro this year.
Yeah.
We do know that there is a Switch 2 in development. Um, we do know that there is rumors of Xbox playing with a handheld in the future. Um, there's a lot of big news under the surface that none of that came out during this Gamescom. And I think that's very interesting that it didn't. And it was kind of, I don't want to say muted, but not like, oh my gosh, did you see this? Did you see that? Um, it was a little low key considering Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, I think because there are so many trade shows and video reaction shows or video trailer shows, because there are so many, it kind of dilutes how special they can be when stuff comes out.
Yeah.
Like if you just had the Video Game Awards show and Summer Games Fest, you would probably have a higher overall quality of video because there's less places to debut stuff. But because you're trying to fill something every 3 or 4 months, it's kind of like, well, dang, all right, this
Yeah.
is this is interesting. Um, so it's kind of a monkey's paw situation. Like, oh, I wish there were more video game shows. Well, you're getting them, but also that means you may not see as many cool things as you want because if stuff takes so long to develop, you kind of have to hope that everybody's almost on the same development cycle, and then they're releasing around the same time. So all these amazing trailers are happening at the same time.
And I also think we have talked about this, but we people have not thought about this. In my opinion, I don't think people are thinking about this. You don't understand. We don't understand how much the layoffs and how much these Embracer Group, all of those studios that closed or shut down, how much of that is affecting the development cycle. Um, and let's be honest, PlayStation seems to have taken a year off because they have not announced really anything first party for this year that was big. We haven't heard anything from Big Studios, Housemark, Sucker Punch. Um, who's another studio that they have that we people have been wondering what are they working on? Naughty Dog. Um, is it what Santa Monica? I'm trying to think of like
Yeah, the God of War people. Yeah,
yeah, like we like there's a lot of things that have not come from Sony that I I know that they do not have to be at Gamescom, but we do know there's a state of play, and they have been very quiet. Um, I would have thought we'd have seen more VR stuff from Sony, considering they have that $500 hat they want people to buy.
hmm
Um, I it is very noticeable that Gamescom to me was a little muted, and it could be that I'm just not as plugged in. I don't want to say that it could be me, and it could be my tastes have changed, and that is why I'm not as excited about Gamescom as everybody else was. But I do think that there is a huge shift in gaming that we're not paying attention that we're I don't want to say we're not paying attention that we're noticing, but it's not like a lot of people are raising the alarm. Hey, are you watching this? Because there's so many other things happening, and maybe they are. They're just announcing in a different way. Considering we just saw what game just got released, and then they announced layoffs or before the game was released. Um, uh,
I don't remember. I don't know.
There was a game that's about to come out, and they were like layoffs. I'm looking, hold on. And people are like, "Oh, you're announcing the layoffs before the game even comes out." Um, uh, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember right now. But yeah, there does seem to be a huge landslide of change coming to gaming.
Hmm.
It just hasn't. We haven't seen the effects yet, in my opinion. I, all of the effects. I think we're seeing the canary.
Sure.
The mine has not been shut down, but we're seeing the canary choking, and everybody's like, "Well, why are we not?" And it's like, yeah, because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes we're not privy to.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some type of shift in terms of how I think the capital W, capital We gamers, our perceptions of what games are supposed to be are probably never going to shift in terms of getting more patience for games.
Yeah,
So we're never going to calm down. So the shift's going to have to be on the developers, unfortunately, to figure out, oh, how do we make this stuff sustainable? Because so many games continue to, because we talk about the examples of where, oh, a bad game comes out, does underperform, doesn't sell well, and then that studio
mhm.
shuts down. But then there's also, we we just talked about it, Hi-Fi Rush. People love that game. It received critically well, and then that studio kind of got shuttered until it got brought back again recently.
Yes,
So I mean, yeah, I don't know what the solution is. I feel like
I
we're just
will.
bringing awareness to it. But yeah,
I do. There were some games that I did like. So Neo Berlin, I have hopes for. I mean, it looked like Deus Ex Light. I do have some hope for that. Um, I, I'm trying to think of what else. There was something else. A couple other things that I saw. Um, I did talk about Dune Awakening. Um,
oh, my
I
two games that I like besides Civ 7 were, I had to pull up a list for it.
mhm.
Masters of Albion. That's from Peter Molyneux, the guy who
Yeah,
always over promises on and
yes.
usually underdelivers on his games.
Hmm.
This game looks fun to me. Uh, um, a god mode game where you're creating all this stuff and you get to play it. I think that looks fun. And then the one that is called, let's see, what is it? What is it?
Now,
Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. That looks
mhm.
awesome.
Now I will say it's not my game. Enzio, whatever that Sims uh,
Oh, the character
Japanese,
creator
yeah,
thing.
uh huh.
Yeah.
So the now I've already talked about this because I'm on board. Mecha Break, I'm excited for that. Like that, like that did not get a huge push at Gamescom as much as I would have liked to have seen. Now I will say this: there were a couple of games that I thought were interesting that I'm just not. Little Nightmares 3 and Reanimal.
Hmm.
Those looked amazing. I'm not playing that stuff. This is
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not did you see the trailer for Reanimal?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like, bravo to whoever thinks that up because that game looks amazing. I'm not playing that shit, but it did look amazing. Little Nightmares look great. Um, uh, I there was a lot of things that were announced or um, altars I'm still kind of on the fence about.
What is Altars?
So like it's kind of a roguelike.
Hmm.
You play the same so you're a guy who's stranded on you need to get out of wherever you are. And every
Okay.
time you die, you come back as you with different skill sets.
Okay.
It's a very ambitious game. I'm really interested in it. I do want to get it only because like I don't think there's anything that's So I don't want to say like it was not like there were games that I just didn't want to play. That's not true. There's a lot of stuff that I want to play, but again, I need to see price point, and I need to see like what's going on at that time when that game drops. Because again, I want to play Alan Wake 2. I'm so excited for that. I am still waiting for a physical copy, and I know Limited Run is doing it because unless that game is $10 digitally,
Hmm.
which it ain't, I need that physical copy. I'm just that guy. And I don't know if I'm going to stop being that guy anytime soon. But there was some cool stuff announced. The one game that I wanted to see that I did not see is from Fun Dog Studios, Forever Winter. I wanted to see that at Gamescom. It's going into early release at the end of September. I wanted to see that. Go check that game out. I'm really interested in that only because I love the aesthetic of that game.
Hmm.
I'm not really a big co-op shooter type person, but this game looks amazing, and I'm very interested in everything about the world, everything about like how this world came to be, the the way you do loadouts, the missions that you take. I'm very interested in it, so I wanted to see more of that game, and I did not see it, and that was my biggest disappointment at Gamescom because that's a game I've been really heavily into. The devs just made an announcement about how they're what their influences were and what they plan to do with the game. So I've been heavily invested in that.
Fair enough. So what are your final thoughts on Gamescom as a whole, or game industries, or I don't know.
I I don't think I don't think Gamescom is going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh, no, no, no,
However,
no, no. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be the
Yeah,
sky is falling.
specifically, I guess we're talking more about opening night live of Gamescom
Yeah.
more than the
Um,
actual Gamescom event. Yeah.
yeah. I don't think Gamescom is going anywhere. However, I do think how these things game events like Gamescom are being handled is going to change drastically. And the reason why I say that is because each company is now controlling their own message as they put it out there. So you're going to see more. Ubisoft has their day at Summer's Games Fest at the end. Capcom having their own day. You have the Video Game Awards coming up at the end of the year, and then you have um, CES in the spring. You have E3 is gone. Microsoft has their showcase. Um, Xbox has their showcase. I do believe Microsoft is going to be more involved in how Xbox goes forward because they just spent $70 billion.
Hmm.
You don't. I liken Microsoft to like a teenager who, before you were getting rides to and from work, school, all that kind of stuff, you were driving a beater car,
Hmm.
and you were like, "Hey, mom and dad, I want to get on your insurance, and I want to get this car." And your parents are like, "You want to buy what?" And you bought that car, and they're like, "Oh, we have thoughts."
Hmm.
That's what's going on with Xbox right now with Microsoft. Oh, you just spent $70 billion. You're getting some notes. So I do believe that's going to change going forward. And I think you're right. Their whole philosophy is going to change based on that. I do believe we're going to see these events change. How much they change and what they feature, that that's going to be telling going forward. It's like the video game awards are still going to operate like a celebration of gaming.
Hmm.
I think that's going to change in its own way. But I do wonder, are you going to see more things like Secret Level at like Gamescom to draw in a bigger audience? Are you going to see things like Terminator Zero premiere, or things video game and movie and anime adjacent filtering into Gamescom and Summer Games Fest to capture more eyeballs onto some of this stuff?
Okay. Definitely possible. Um, you got any final? I mean, those are your final thoughts. You good?
Those are my yeah. That's.
Okay. Okay. We got a shorter episode here, y'all, because as we
What were
tape this, I
yours?
gotta. What are my what final thoughts?
Yeah, you didn't say what your final thoughts
Oh,
were.
video games are fucked.
Damn.
No, I just felt like saying that to be hyperbolic. No, I think there needs to be a change. I think I think video games could be fucked. I don't think they are, but they could be. Um,
You're at video games. You could be.
you could be, yeah. You're not yet, but you could be
Play your
just
cards
because
right.
the, the current situation is not sustainable. We're seeing
Mhm.
more and more games fail at colossal rates, with more and more studios falling. Um, I think the pandemic obviously didn't do anybody any favors, and this is first world problems, right? I mean, in terms of a global crisis or whatever, and people dying. On top of that, other things that not as important but vital for some people. I think a lot of different people who don't know video games kind of got into video games in terms of like outsiders putting money into video games, got into it, and I'm like, oh, everybody's buying stuff. Look at
Mhm.
this. Animal Crossing is selling so well. And granted, Animal Crossing is a fun game. I'm one of the people that bought it. It sold incredibly well. It was definitely helped by the pandemic and that people couldn't leave their house.
Yes.
So a lot of games saw inflated numbers. And I think people who don't necessarily know the video game market were like, oh, it's going to be like this all the time. Nope, not really. Stuff is kind of going back to the way it was. So until until stuff is returned back to a normal terms of like interest and people are able to figure out what that money looks like, I think there needs to be a new way to distribute games faster and shorten development cycles. I don't know. I just think video games could be fucked. There we go. That's what I think.
Could be.
Yeah,
Again,
could
video
be.
games. Play your cards right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, what got you through the week, man?
Oh man, it's been a minute. I can't wait for people to see the videos the interviews that we got. Um, I feel really proud that we were able to get those people. I know you pushed
Mhm.
really hard to get those people, and it was awesome that we got to do it and talk to those people. Um, being at Comic Con, Soda City Comic Con was fun. It kind of felt like I don't know how it feels for you, but for me, it's kind of just like just recharging your nerd meter, recharging your batteries a little bit because it's just fun to be around other people that just like stuff.
Mhm.
And a lot of times at Comic Cons, the nerd culture gets such a bad rap for being negative all the time, but you don't usually. I don't. I've been to a lot of comic conventions, and I don't really see a lot of negativity, like the loud majority that you or the loud minority that you hear on the net about being mad at stuff. I don't
Yeah.
really see that at comic conventions. Everybody's just happy to like the stuff that you like. It goes back to the Ginger Kid collectibles. Like what you like. You don't have to hate on everything else, but there's so much stuff out there. Just enjoy the stuff that you do, and it's good to see that at Comic Con. It rejuvenated me. It was nice. Uh, it was nice seeing people that I hadn't seen in a while.
Mhm.
So that was cool. I am playing. I finally started playing Yakuza Infinite Wealth, the latest Yakuza game. Playing that on PlayStation 5 right now. Really loving that. Uh, Ichiban, he's a lovable goof. Um, I finished Final Fantasy 16. I think that had happened since the last time we recorded something. I think I put 80 hours in that game. I enjoyed it. Once I finish Yakuza after another 50 hours, I will probably finally get to Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. But that's about it for me. Oh, and wrestling. I am just watching all types of wrestling now again, which has been fun.
Yeah. Let me know when
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan comes back.
Sure.
Because he's trying.
I think he might actually be people.
Signed with WWE.
No, not signed with WWE. Signed with TNA.
Oh, he signed with TNA. I knew there were rumors he signed with somebody. I just didn't know who it was.
I think. Let me. Dad, you tell us what you got through the week.
Oh, I don't know. I've been reading Black Nerd Problems. I had the book in my library on my shelf, and when I went to this conference, uh, I I was hanging out at the airport.
Oh,
It's
I'm sorry. You're
from.
right. Fightful said Hulk Hogan says he signed a 5-year deal with WWE.
I
Okay.
knew he was back because he just did an interview
Hmm.
where he says, uh, "I'm trying to paraphrase. He said, I don't know if you've seen it, and I kind of want to see your face when I say this. If the wrestling fans are forgiving, and if they can forgive Chris Benoit for everything that he did, then I think the wrestling fans can forgive me.
Wow, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that wrestling fans forgave Chris Benoit. So that's a
They
weird.
haven't.
Yeah, like what are you talking about?
So where I saw he said that, everybody went online and were like, "So let's break this down."
Yeah.
like it just happened. So like the think pieces aren't out yet, and people are still like grappling with him coming back into the limelight. So it's going to be really interesting going forward to see how that works out. But again, for me, switching gears from a known racist to black people, Black Nerd Problems from William Evans and Omar Hallman. I started reading that. I started once before and then I got distracted and I had some time and I picked it up again. I reread Black Monday Murders from Jonathan Hickman and made me remember why Jonathan Hickman is at the top of his game. My Kickstarter from Frank Cho came in. Fight Girls, the graphic novel came through. I will say Frank Cho is one of the best artists of all times. No one draws Amazons and guns and dinosaurs the way Frank Cho does. I don't know if you can.
I don't think you're gonna get a good shot with the lights,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So I've been reading a lot more than I have been playing video games. I did start Terminator Zero. I'm on the 3rd episode. Again, don't know how we made it this far. So yeah, I've been reading more so than anything else. Going to the comic book store, trying to catch up on my comic reading when I can, because I do want the boys to see me read more like I used to back in the day as they get of age and I read to them all the time, but I want them to see me reading. So I'm trying to get back into these habits so that they can see it and they can imitate that. I want them to have that. I want to instill that in them. So
Cool.
yeah.
Folks, that'll do it for us here. We'll be back sometime. Yep. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yep. Deep teases, lots of interviews coming up from Soda City Comic Con that Leroy's working on. Go get them up. You guys will love them, and we'll talk about them.
All right.
I think we're out.
Yep.
Peace.